This quiet, unassuming location, Northampton, has been the home of Delapre Abbey for over 1,000 years, yet very few people living in the area have ever heard, let alone visit it. This building and glorious surrounding land holds the key to uncovering hundreds of years of historical interest that is about to be discovered. Located in the meadows of the River Nen to the south of Northamptonshire, Delapre Abbey was first founded as a Cluniac nunnery in 1145 by Simon de Senlis, the second Earl of Northampton. It was only one of 2 nunneries built in England, and the current residents claim the premises is haunted by a blue or grey lady believed to be one of the nuns. Over 100 years later, in 1920, Queen Eleanor's body was taken to Delapre Abbey to spend the night as it made its way to Westminster Abbey in London.
A funeral cortege, was passing from Nottinghamshire down to her funeral in London, and the cortege stopped here for the night. I think the King spent the night at Northampton Castle, and Eleanor's body was brought here into the Abbey Church and guarded by the nuns overnight before the funeral cortege resumed its journey down the London road.
This honour was marked with a statue named Queen Eleanor Cross in 1291, which can be viewed from the roadside. The main talking point today is what happened to the top of the cross. Some say it was struck by lightning, however, it is unknown. In 1460, the Battle of Northampton took place between the Yorkists and Lancastrians in the grounds.
It was quite a decisive battle, really, during the Wars of the Roses, and not many people know about it. The Yorkists came up from London and they met here in the grounds of Delapre Abbey between the nunnery and the river. And it rained, and the Yorkists had many more men than the Lancastrians. The Lancastrians had dug themselves in behind a ditch filled with water, with staves on top. And then it rained, and because they wore armour and stuff, and they had artillery, but that was no good in the wet, and they were just routed.
In 1538, the abbey was forced to surrender to the crown under the rule of Henry VIII.
When Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries, the nuns were turned out. They were pensioned off. They went to live in the town. And Henry VIII sent his men down to find out what was here, how much valuable stuff was here. They found a couple of chalices in the church, 1 or 2 other things, and corn in the barn and cattle. So they know there was cattle here, and also orchards. And they think the nuns used to get vegetables from the local people.
From 1537 to 1943, the abbey was first let, then sold to numerous private individuals. The most well-known family names being Tate, Hardy and Bouverie. Each family began to build and shape the foundations of how the abbey is today, creating an Elizabethan-style garden which is thought to be where the former garden is today, where fresh fruit and vegetables are grown. 3 years later, the land was sold to the Northamptonshire Corporation. In 1954, the future of the historic building became under threat by demolition, and the first campaign was launched to save the abbey by Joan Wake of the Recordshire Records Office. As a result of her efforts, the office was to reside at the abbey for the next 33 years. Between 1992 and 2001, people in Northampton set up a campaign to save the abbey, and what began as a protest group finally turned into the Friends of Delapre Abbey.
Friends of Delapre Abbey was established in the middle of 2001 because the council were attempting to sell off the abbey, and we established Friends of Delapre Abbey to help prevent that and save the abbey for the use of the community. At the abbey we have approximately 30 to 35 fairly regular volunteers. We have one employed person who is the catering manager. The tea room is run by the catering manager along with most of the volunteers. Other volunteers do gardening and administration.
My name is Andrea Lourdes Nicolini, and this is my second time in England because I'm actually from Argentina, and I'm going to be at the Abbey for another 6 months again. I found out about it through the volunteering site doit.co.uk, and well, because I'm on a visitor's visa and I can't work, I wanted to do some volunteering work. I think it's very important that all the people who work here are really putting their time to keep this place all nice, because it's really a good place for people to enjoy a cup of tea and just have a nice time.
With the Abbey occupied by guardians who help prevent vandalism, the public are only allowed access to the outside of the building, apart from one weekend a year, which is the Heritage Weekend in September. Other events at the Abbey which take place include the annual beer festival, Northampton Carnival, and smaller community events like craft fairs, Halloween activities and Easter egg hunts. Events such as these draw in a wide public attraction, the furthest being from Australia, who found out about the Abbey through friends in Northampton.
I live quite close, so I come here probably once a week or twice a month, something like that. I come quite often, and it's lovely, really nice, great for the kids, good for walking, and it's clean, so yeah, I like it here.
Well, I think it's definitely a public place, and everybody comes here just to look at the scenery and get away from the busy city life or town life. I think it's definitely important to have green spaces within town where people can, you know, go for a walk, and I think it's important for local communities. Well, I live locally, so everything else evolves around Delapre. We go jogging here in the mornings. We come here for coffees during our lunch. We go by the lake further behind Delapre Abbey. Also, I remember when I was little, the gardens behind the buildings were a brilliant place to play games and hide and seek, etc. And it's still popular with kids these days.
From walking around the Abbey, it is evident repair work needs to be done, of various holes in the walls, broken windows and graffiti. The future remains in the balance, however, has been described as not a problem as long as there is support from the public and a constant flow of money. To fully refurbish the whole building, the Friends of Delapre Abbey need £11 to £15 million, so the £600,000 they are awarded by the lottery fund is a small drop in the ocean. Without its money, there would be threat of closure.
I don't think it should close. In fact, it ought to be opened up more. The interior is absolutely fabulous and very historical, and it should be open to the public, and they need to spend some money to make it more accessible, which would bring in more revenue. This abbey is steeped in history and the surrounding area as well. And the land which is attached to it is a haven for wildlife. So many opportunities for people young and old to enjoy it.
Really, for 900 years it's been pasture, farmland and garden predominantly, and thankfully that's what it still is today. A place of calm and relaxation.
We are in constant contact with the local council, and we have made it known to them the way we would like to see things go, but obviously as owners of the building they will have the final say, but we suspect that they have very similar aims to us, so we're hoping that one of the main projects we hope will be to refurbish the main rooms in the south facing wing.
With a small lease only and a reasonable relationship with the building owners, the Friends of Delapre Abbey have a daunting task before them. Can a group of volunteers be the driving force to raise £15 million to fully restore the whole building? In the short term, it seems the only way forward is to continue to lease other sections of the building to generate funding to ultimately restore the building to its former glory. This film has been inspired by a local building with a story to tell. Unlocking the secrets of this historical building has begun to illustrate just how valuable Delapre Abbey is as a part of our English heritage. The successful restoration of the walled gardens shows just what can be achieved by a group of passionate people who care enough to try and make a difference. But this has been no easy journey, and the future is far from secure.